weird to be here without Donatas and have this huge gap between us.
It's the second time we are going to do the URBONUS podcast without URBONUS, but he's probably busy breaking the transfer news.
Probably, I think so. I think we should come up with a special name for the podcast in these occasions when Donatas is absent. Because what's the point of URBONUS without the main man?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Maybe we should do some brainstorming session or something. I don't know.
Or the people who are watching could give us the suggestions in the comment section below this podcast.
That's a good idea. I mean, it's not like it happens frequently. You said it's just the second time, and for the first time, actually, we're doing a Q&A session without our host Donatas.
The first one was about.
It was a public podcast, and I don't really remember.
About the playoffs.
It was during the quarterfinals, or after the quarterfinals, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah. And
after Monaco Maccabi Game 5, where Donatas could not participate.
That's true. And this time we have a Q&A podcast, so just a small part of it will be public. If you want to see all of the podcast and hear all of the answers, you should subscribe to BM Plus, where you will also find a lot of other interesting material. But anyway, today I read all the questions and not that I know that our main focus will be Nikola Mirotic and his situation, because it has been probably the main topic throughout the whole summer. Biggest name in the market. Suliauskas to Pau was a huge deal, but
unexpected one.
We were talking about Mirotic ever since the ACB finals finished, because it was clear that Barcelona wants to get rid of him, wants to get out of that contract. It was clear that Mirotic will land somewhere else. I think NBA was out of the question. His priority is to be in Europe, and we were discussing: is it Milan? Is it some other team? Is it Monaco? And at some point, it seemed like he's signing for Partizan, right?
For Partizan, I was pretty sure about it. I even prepared a video. We kind of risked it a little bit, with Rytis deciding to make a video and to publish it about Mirotic fitting in the Partizan,
Yeah.
And all of a sudden on Saturday, I hear the news and it's like, okay, this is not going to happen. And, just 2 days of work going to the...
And just out of curiosity, because this video will not air, what was your conclusion? Is Mirotic a good fit for Željko Obradović system?
My conclusion was definitely, that would be interesting to see. I even dug out some videos from the Fenerbahce years, comparing Meli and the Tome playing together.
Yeah.
So how would Mirotic and Lide fit together? But I understood that it's going to be just for short glimpses. Probably these two are not going to start together.
Yeah.
But I was really intrigued by the possibility of it. So in my eyes, that would have been a perfect fit. And, just for the whole European basketball landscape, it would have been a really nice addition.
The idea I had in my head is that if Partizan sign Mirotic, maybe then they don't need to sign a really strong center. They could use Zach Lide more as a 5 and do some different lineups. But in the end, it doesn't really matter right now.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Our first question was about that as well. Before that, I need to add one thing that Donatas told me to tell everyone.
Yeah.
There is going to be a public version of URBONUS coming out next week with Donatas, Eric, and one more EuroLeague star.
And we cannot say who.
We are not going to disclose the name just yet, so you can guess maybe who is coming, but definitely the fans are going to be happy to hear from this guy. So
the list of the names, he already had Shane, Punter, and who else?
Mike James before.
Yeah, he had these big name players on the podcast already. So what else can he deliver? Eric McCollum, he's a perfect guy for a basketball podcast. If it was possible, he would probably be a regular on the show. But anyway, it's nice that you have a laptop. So I will dedicate the duties of reading all the questions to you, because I'm just working with my smartphone. So
So first question is from Nismo Telitako. What do you think is the main reason Mirotic won't play for Partizan, and in which team do you see him next year? Salute to the best journalist.
I mean, the reason he explained it himself, there's not much to analyze probably. I mean, if we trust his word, it is because of all the abuse and heat that this may have caused.
But wasn't it weird for you a little bit? Like he said that the threats I received from the fans, and it wasn't the Zvezda fans, so I was like, which fans it could have been? In my eyes, it's a little bit weird. I think there is something behind it. I imagine anywhere you play in the world, you will, as a professional basketball player, even if it's the NBA, where it's a much friendlier environment, you will receive threats even after. Maybe you play bad for your team, you will receive threats from your own fans. Maybe you will ruin some people's betting, betting those papers. Maybe then you get some threats, definitely from some, sad or angry people. So I believe there was something more, and there was a rumor on Twitter. This is only a rumor. I don't know how much truth there is in it, but it said that a religious leader to the beliefs of Mirotic said to him that he shouldn't divide Serbia. And I'm not sure how much truth is there in this, but we know that Mirotic is a religious man. He does a lot for charity, does a lot of great work that maybe goes unnoticed because he doesn't necessarily boast about it in the social media. And so it does sound like a logical, explanation behind all this.
I don't really want to speculate on somebody's personal life or personal beliefs or his decision. I mean, the statement is there, whether you believe it or not, it's up to you. So I'm not here to spread some theories or ideas of how and why all of this happened. It's just that kind of a unique situation that we've never seen before. Like a player is almost 1 foot already in the club, and then all of a sudden in 24 hours it changes, and you see statements from the player, from the club. Actually, Partizan's president commented on this whole Mirotic situation
really in detail about the whole situation.
So I mean, it's hard, only Nikola Mirotic himself could probably, if he wants to, explain everything in greater detail. But the fact is, he's still a top free agent. We can call him a free agent, right? He's out of the Barcelona contract. So he's still the top free agent. It's just clear that the two Serbian clubs are no longer competing for his signature.
And where do you see him then? The list of teams probably gets really short here at this point of the summer market.
Knowing his value, how expensive he is, there are not too many clubs that can actually afford him. I'm thinking Milan. I'm thinking maybe Monaco can find some extra funds for a big name signing.
Even after Kemba.
Well, it would be a similar situation to Monaco's first season in the EuroLeague, when they already seemed like they are settled, but all of a sudden, this Mike James, CSKA Moscow contract situation, and boom, they're signing him. Boom, they're signing Will Thomas. So they found some funds to sign household names. And in this case, maybe they are capable of doing it once again. I'm not sure how expensive is Kemba Walker, how much money he's going to earn. I'm not sure about his contract details. But, I mean, we don't have a question about it, but maybe later, finishing the podcast, we could share some thoughts on
about
that.
Kemba as well.
But for Mirotic, I'm thinking Milan, I'm thinking Monaco.
With Milano,
he's not moving to Real Madrid probably. Although again, when you said about all those threats and messages that players receive, I remember when Miro was coming back from the Milwaukee Bucks and signing for Barcelona. It was a shocking transfer at the time.
He declined so much money in the NBA.
Yeah. And on Mirotic's Facebook page, you could see Real Madrid fans sending rat emojis, snake emojis, and everything else. I mean, probably Madrid fans are not as passionate, let's say, as Partizan or Zvezda, but he was more or less dealing with some of these things already in his career. But yeah, I don't know what you think about what teams could sign Mirotic. It's not just about which teams are the best for Mirotic in terms of basketball, but which teams could realistically sign him.
Milano would be a choice, but they signed Alex Poitras. They have Nico Melli there at the 4, both. At the 5, they have Voigtman, Heinz, Kamagate, and also they have Caruso covering the both spots. So there's a lot of front court players there. So
yeah,
it's an option in my eyes, but how does then all the other guys feel, about the playing time? Even though, Heinz is probably playing 15 minutes per game the next season. Yeah. Kamagate is just a developing prospect, but probably he also expected more playing time. Monaco, I believe, they have John Brown and they signed Peter Cornelier, which I think is one of the most underrated summer signings. Like, they needed shooting at the 4 position in the front court, and he's the only guy they added that can shoot. They added Mamjaite, but he's a center that's playing in the painted area. So I'm not sure. I would imagine Mirotic would add a lot to Monaco. Perfect fit to me, but they have John Brown and Peter Cornelier already. But if there is a possibility for Monaco to sign him, and they have the money, enough money to do that, I would go for Monaco. But in their case, but my bet would be Pau. Like, it doesn't fit with the whole story that you are not receiving threats there, because in Greece it's similar to Serbia in the atmosphere environment type. But there is a vacant spot there in the starting lineup at the power forward. He would be a perfect fit for Ataman's system. He would give the spot up threat, the floor stretching, the ability to post up, just a perfect player there, and would make a lot of sense to me. I'm not sure how much, chances there are for him to going to Pau, but
there are rumors, right? About him, about Shengelia.
About Shengelia as well, but I think there are rumors at this point that he will go to 7 or 8 teams.
Well, the rumor mill never stops in summertime. That's the reality. You've mentioned Monaco and the players they already have. I think that, well, first of all, they signed quality French players, which helps them in the French league.
Jaite
and Cornelia.
Terry Tarpe.
Terry Tarpe as well. But when you have the possibility of signing Mirotic, I think you can make space for him. I think you can make some sacrifices, let's say. He just makes your team so much stronger. I mean, remember after the Final Four, we were all talking that Monaco had a great season, had a great run, but they still lacked shooting, and that was their main problem. And I would love to see Mirotic surrounded by highly skilled, quality perimeter players, which means the team wouldn't be as dependent on Mirotic to win games as, let's say, Barcelona was.
That's a great point.
In this case, Mirotic is your stretch 4 with a lot of extras, but he is not necessarily the guy who has to carry the team. I mean, when Barca failed in all these Final Four semifinals, or one time they lost in the final, people were mainly talking about Mirotic. They were focusing on Mirotic. Some were focusing on Šaras, but most of the people were talking about Miro. His stats from, let's say, this year's semifinal versus Real Madrid, he had a terrible game. When you play in a team that has Mike James, Jordan Lloyd, Elio Kobo, and, if everything works out, Kemba Walker, you as a power forward, you are not the guy that people are looking at.
So much easier. I had the same point in the video made in Partizan.
Yeah.
I said this would be finally after 3 years, like not after 3 years, but just Partizan's backcourt with Kevin Punter there alone makes it much easier for Mirotic to play. Imagine, like he had some great players, but Corey Higgins was injured in the last endings of the seasons.
Yeah,
he had Kalates, he had Satoransky, who isn't necessarily a great shooter. And with Punter there alone, or with James Nunnally playing the 3, and probably someone at the point guard who could score as well, it would have been so much easier for Mirotic to play.
Yeah, these guys like Satoransky, Kalates, I'm used to saying, Jokubaitis, they're not the type of point guards who decide the outcome of the game. if you look at the compilation of Barcelona's game-winning shots from previous 4 years, these will be Nikola Mirotic buzzer beaters and game winners.
Yeah.
I mean, and how unusual is that in modern day basketball, your power forward is the guy who's taking the shot. It's like Dirk Nowitzki in Dallas. Because usually, let's be real, it's up to the point guard or the combo guard to take these last
minute shots.
Yeah.
Okay, Yorgos Zourntos is asking Mirotic and Shengelia to Panathinaikos. What do you think? In my eyes, it's either one or another. You can't have both.
Yeah.
Let's frame the question: who would be a greater fit, and what would you think if Shengelia goes to Panathinaikos?
I mean, the question who would be a greater fit is pretty
easy. But what do you think if Shengelia signs for Pau?
I love Shengelia. I've been a fan of his since his breakthrough season in Baskonia. But the thing is that everything that happens in his career after Baskonia is a mess. It doesn't really work out. First, we saw him in Moscow. In the system, it seemed like there's not enough spacing when he cannot really shoot. They were trying some different options. He was not feeling happy in there playing. And then we have this season with Virtus Bologna. Of course, he was coming after an injury. He missed the EuroBasket. It didn't really help. He needed more time to get in shape. But again, we saw more or less the same things. Virtus were struggling offensively because they don't have a guy that can stretch the floor. They have two big bodies. They were playing some old school basketball. And you know, it's probably not the way most coaches want to go these days. So Shengelia and Pau, again, did Ataman ever play in Efes without a stretch four? This was just a short part of our full or bonus Q&A episode. If you want to see the full length episode, please subscribe to BM Plus. Today with August, we've discussed a lot of topics. Some of them include possible signing of Tornike Shengelia for Panathinaikos, comparing Panathinaikos and Crvena Zvezda rosters as they are right now. We also talked about FIBA competitions. We talked about top 5 basketball countries in Europe. So please subscribe to BM Plus and you will find all this exclusive content.